Good morning. I'm Carlton Sharp, pastor of Faith Christian Center Church right here in Beaumont, Texas, and we're here on what's happening in our neighborhood. And today my special guest is Mr. Freddie Titus himself.
God bless you.
The musician extraordinaire.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Freddie, tell us a little bit about yourself first before we begin.
So my name is Freddie Titus. I've been in this community all of my life, and I teach at Lamar University. I teach math education and mathematics courses, and in the spiritual world, I am a preacher, and I am a musician.
Man, Freddie, I remember, I go way back with you when you were over at Boyd Chapel.
Oh, yeah.
I used to blow my trumpet back when I was in high school, and I mean, that's been many moons ago.
Yes, sir. That was the beginning of my career. But my experience at Boyd Chapel was a great experience. Pastor Busby was a great pastor, and Ruthie Williams was my mentor. Yes, at that time. And so I thank God for those days at Boyd Chapel.
So how has music changed over those years?
Oh, music has changed tremendously. In those days, the focus was on choirs and choir music. And, 4 points: evangelism, discipleship, praise and worship, and application of music.
Wow.
Now we're in this arena where, we don't see as many choirs, but now we see praise teams and praise groups, which I'm a little concerned about. And the focus is always on praise music and not necessarily, okay, God, teach me something through the music. And so we've seen a shift in our music. We've seen a shift in the delivery of music as well.
So how do you combine both together?
Well, I think one thing that we have to keep in mind is if we're not training young people, then we won't have people to stand in front of those mics as praise and worship leaders. And so I think if you're going to develop a music program, you have to keep in mind that you must have this pipeline from your youth to adults. And so you got to keep that going, and you don't move away from the choir paradigm. Listen, in the choir, you have more people who you're ministering to 2 ways, both within and without.
Wow.
And so it's important that that you have that. Again, when we think about choir, we think about people who go to Sunday school, people who go to Bible study. That's where your strength comes from. And sometimes I'm conscious and worried because sometimes when we look at our praise and worship leaders, they're always traveling. So you ask the question, when do you study?
Wow.
When do you study?
Wow, that's a good question.
So, you have this great public ministry, but your personal ministry is not growing. And I'm very concerned about that and concerned about, in particular with musicians as well, that, musicians will study their craft and be so prolific on the instruments. But yet, I ask them the same question. How much time do you spend learning what God is saying about you and your life? And so it's important. And I tell them, if you spend 9 hours trying to make sure that one lick is right, you ought to spend 9 hours in the Word of God trying to make sure that the life that you live is right as well.
And I was just about to ask you about the musicians. You have the singers, but then you have these contract musicians.
Yes. See, again, that's another. In the church now we have more paid singers, and so now there's this line of where is the true worshiper or the paid worshiper, and I agree that God would make room for your gift. I'm not despairing that part, but the part that I'm concerned about is you developing your craft for the purpose of ministry, for the purpose of not only helping others to develop, but to develop yourself as well.
Wow. And so do you see a decline? I mean, in that area, what you're talking about?
Oh, yes. I think what has changed. I'm going to tell you what has changed. So it's not about giving. It's about giving God my best, but how can I get paid for giving God my best?
Wow.
And so that has become the prima donna for a lot of artists now. You notice they call themselves artists.
Right.
I laugh when I hear people say, well, I'm an artist. And then I hear other people say, well, I'm a worshiper. I say, okay, all right. It sounds interesting. So, And again, I'm not despairing that. I believe God will allow your gift to make room for you, but you need to keep God at the forefront of what you're doing. That is so important, because whether you're on the stage or not, you're going to become a role model.
Right.
You're going to become a living word, living Bible to somebody, and so you need to keep that in mind as well.
Because I was looking one day, and I was seeing how these young musicians are trying to develop a union of sorts to make sure that the pay equity is across the board. I'm looking at that. I'm like, are you gonna give your gift to God? And let God provide for you?
Yeah. Now, one thing that's interesting, this is funny to me, and it's funny that you brought that up, because one of the things I was like, God, what these guys are getting paid. I was a minister of music, and I never got the money that they get paid just as a musician. And one of the things that's real interesting about this generation is that, in my generation, you played at one church, and you were there.
Right,
but these young musicians are playing at multiple churches.
Yeah, I mean, your church at 8 o'clock.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. And so they have found ways of making money, and I applaud that. But again. And I like that part, because for a long time, Pastor Sharp, how can a musician really raise a family on what they get? And everybody wants them to be committed. They don't want them to do no other musical venues, ventures. And I'm saying that's not enough to raise a family.
Yeah.
And so, in that regard, I like the idea that they're able to do that. And the other piece that I like about it is that they more into church. Now, we just got to groom them a little bit more in terms of what that means. In a few weeks, I'll be speaking at a conference to musicians about managing their music and the ministry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, where's that going to be at?
So it's going to be at Port Arthur. The church has not, they haven't told me what church it's going to be at. It's a group of young musicians who's putting this together. And they've asked me, I was like, oh, y'all want me to come and speak? I was like, okay. And so hopefully they're going to get it all together.
That is wonderful. Man, that is great. Now, Freddie, you have something coming up that you've been doing for the past 34 years.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about Psalms 150.
Yeah, so the Psalms 150 Youth and Young Adult Retreat is coming up. It's our 34th retreat. We're excited about it. 34 years of doing ministry with young people in the community and abroad beyond the boundaries of the Golden Triangle. It's going to be July 26th through 28th, of course, on Lamar University campus. And we're going to have our concert at the Mount Gilead Baptist Church here in Beaumont. So I want to give a shout out to our officers, if you don't mind. So, let me tell you, the retreat is ran by the officers that they elect every year. And the theme comes from them, the activities, we just fill in all the spots after they develop the framework. And so our president this year is Nadia Barrett from Sunlight Baptist Church, Sydney St. Julian from Paradise Baptist Church, Bria Washington from the Word of Restoration International Church, and Yana McLemore from the St. Luke Baptist Church, Hannah Griffin from Kingdom Dominion Church, and Isaiah Fortenberry from Greater Two Vine Baptist Church. And I probably should have named the cities because these kids come from Beaumont, Port Arthur, and the Houston area, so very diverse.
So they actually put together this whole thing.
Yes, here's what they start. They get a free retreat, but it's not a free retreat because they really work hard to. And I tell you, we have some awesome officers this year. They came up with this theme, and I'm gonna talk about the theme in just a few minutes. But so they come up with classes. What is it that baffles you all? What is it that you want to know more about? Because again, to teach a class that has no substance or have no meaning to a group of kids is just a waste of time. And so we try to be current. One of the things that they told me for this year, they say, Dr. Titus, we want you to get a few more younger teachers. And I said, younger teachers? I said, okay, why? and they were sharing with me it's true. They were saying that some of the teachers that teach at the retreat, sometimes they don't work with youth but just once a year when they come to the retreat.
Wow.
We want somebody that work with youth on a regular basis so they'll know and understand us a little bit better. That makes sense to me.
Wow.
That makes a whole lot of sense to me. And so we've worked to find more people who are consistently working with young people on a daily basis, because they would know the nature of those kids a little bit better. So, I mean, again, in another generation, somebody would have said, no, you don't tell us what to do. But I'm saying in this generation here, if we want to meet the needs of these young people, we need to know what those needs are. Yeah. And it makes more sense to me to have somebody in place that's sensitive to their needs.
Wow. So so this will begin on Thursday, July the 26th.
Yes. Now, there are a couple of things that we need to know. Registration for the retreat, the deadline is going to be July 9th. We have to pre-register. We must pre-register. There are a lot of camps that go on at Lamar University, space, and accommodations. And so we need to know ahead of time. So kids who are planning on staying on campus, kids who are going to get a meal card, you have to register by July 9th. And so what we've said is that we need everybody to register by July 9th. You will not be able to walk up on July 26th and get a dormitory room. That is not feasible anymore. So if you want to stay on campus, I had a young lady call me the other night. She was frantic. She said, one of my friends told me I don't have any more rooms. And I said, no, we have more rooms. And I guess her friend was trying to get her to register early. Yeah. And so we want the kids to, and parents to know that we really need to register your kids by July 9th.
Now, we're going to put the website for how you can register right there online on the bottom of the screen. And you'll be able to see that, and then you go to that website and then register online.
Yes, and it's very easy to get to the retreat webpage. You could do a Google search, just put in the Psalms 150 Youth Retreat 2018. Psalms 150 Youth Retreat 2018, and it should come out in your browser.
Wow. So now, Freddie, there is a cost associated with this camp.
Yes, there is a cost, and that, so the cost, let me talk about that for just a minute. Okay, the cost, so registration is $22 for the retreat, and the registration is to help, first of all, nobody gets paid at the retreat. All the teachers and all that, they're giving up their time and stuff. They donate their time. But there are some facilities and things that we do have to pay for, and so we do have to pay for things. That also pays for the literature and all the stuff that we pass out. And then these brochures and all the stuff that we use for the next year. So registration. Housing is $40 a night per kid. So that's $80 for the 2 nights. Now, Lamar has said after July 9th, if you try to register, the price is going to go up $10 for each night. So that'd be $110. So that's why we're trying to encourage people. That is not Psalms of $10, but that is the university policy.
So that's why it's so important to register early.
Absolutely.
To get in on the cost for the housing.
Yes. And likewise with the meal card, it's $53 and it would be $63. But now, one of the things that's real interesting, Lamar has done some renovation to our student union. And so now we have a food court, the Census Center. So where you and I knew where the ballroom used to be, it is now a food court.
What do you say?
And it is fabulous. We have Chick-fil-A. We have Jason Deli, Panda Express. I know, man. And it looks so nice and it's wonderful. And I've been talking to the people with the dining service, and they're going to work out something for us that our kids, if they choose to eat over there, they can eat over at the food court at the lunch hour.
The big people that's there in the food court.
Okay, so it's Chick-fil-A, Jason Deli, Panda Express, and those are the places that's in that particular location. But then we have a Starbucks on campus now. Yeah, Lamar has grown in that area. Wow. And the dining hall absolutely is a place where they'll be able to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the retreat.
Now, it's a separate meal plan for the retreat, and that's where the $53 comes in.
Right. So the $53. So if you eat in the dining hall, it's all you can eat for each of those meal spots in the dining hall. But if you eat at the food court, then it's just one specific order you can make.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, but that's still good though.
No, it is options, and so we want to encourage people to register early so that they can have a head count and make sure there's enough, for our camp and the other camps that's on campus that week.
Because parents, I mean, there are multiple camps going on at Lamar at the same time. So the reason why I want to stress this, that they want early registration, is so that they can secure the dormitory for Psalms 150. So don't delay it. Don't procrastinate and think that I can wait until the day of. Well, you're not gonna have a room. Right, you won't have a room because the space is very limited. They allocate so many dorms for summer camps, and so that's important that you pre-register for that. So what's the goal for Psalm 150? So watch this. So the retreat serves two goals. The first, we're interested in providing space and opportunity for kids to come and learn to kind of master their skill sets in terms of Christian music, Christian praise dancing, miming. We have teachers who will work with kids in those areas, especially with voice. We even have a piano clinic. And Lamar University Music Department has been so wonderful to us that we actually use the piano classroom for our piano workshop. And so that's the skill area. But then there's the spiritual piece that we work on with our students. How they should relate to God and who God is in their lives. Yeah. The other thing that we're doing this year that is going to be unique is that we have a course that's going to help people who are graduating from high school, and most of our officers are graduated from high school this past school year, transitioning them from high school to college, because there's a difference between the two. And giving them some heads up on how to navigate that new space that they're going to be in so they can be successful. And it's good to hear from their peers. Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We have a group of college students that will work with us from the Psalms 150 school choir that will facilitate and lead that session. So, Freddie, now what's the theme of... So let me tell you about this theme. Now, the kids come up with the theme every year. And, I always... there are two people that work with our kids. There's Erica Jenkins and... oh, God, I can't think of her name. All right, I'm going to come back to her name. Kendra Watts. They work with our student officers during the year. And so there's a process. So in September, they start working with them and start telling them, okay, these are the things that you need to do and all that stuff. And you got to present this to Dr. Titus once we get it all together. So in January, they present us a theme. And so this year, the theme they presented to me was Stay Woke for Jesus. I said, okay, Stay Woke for Jesus. What is that? And so they told me, Dr. Titus, you need to read St. John 3:36, and I did. So it was, the scripture said, he that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life, and he that believe not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abided on him. I said, okay, all right. I said, I understand that. And so I said, tell me more. Tell me more. And so, they talked about the passage where, in that passage, really, they was asking the question, who's the greatest? Who is? Is it John or is it Jesus? Right. And it was made clear that it's Jesus is the greater, because God loved his Son so much that, he gave him a power. He gave him authority. He allowed him to have dominion over people and so forth. And so they was telling me that, in y'all day, y'all would put a seal on something. And when you put your seal on something, it meant that you agreed with it. Yeah. Well, in our generation what we say is we stay woke for God. Okay. So that means worshiping our King eternally. So not worshiping God just here on planet Earth, but even in the afterlife. Wow. And so if you think in terms of that, what they're saying is they're preparing here and worshiping God here, but they understand that there's a life past this life. So you got to stay woke if you want to see the next life after this life.
And so I was telling them, I was like, I like y'all theme, stay woke. And so, you know, it's been a great piece. And the staff, I was talking to Reverend Lee Blue the other day. He said he went to one of his colleagues at work and he asked them, what does stay woke mean to you? And they said, oh, that's to be aware that God is in your life. Because he didn't think that people would get it. Yeah. And he discovered that, hey, yeah, it does make sense. If I'm woke and I'm conscious of what God is in my life. If I understand that it's in him that I move and have my being, you know, and so I'm very proud of this set of officers.
And these kids, man, are so creative because last year their theme was lit.
Right.
Learn, interpret, and teach.
Yeah.
Like, wow, man.
Yeah.
And this year is stay woke.
Yeah.
Worshiping our King eternally.
Yeah.
Creative.
And here's the thing. If they come up with it, there's that buy-in already. Yes. The buy-in is there already. And so with the thing, let me tell you something I do. So when I get a thing, when they give me a thing, I always send it out to the faculty and a select group of students. And so when it came back, everybody was like, yeah, I'm feeling this. I said, okay, y'all, we can go with it. And so, but now think about this. The work that they had to engage in to come up with the thing. These kids going back and forth using that technology. Yeah. You know, we have telephone conferences and Adobe Connect meetings. Wow. So we don't all, you know, necessarily meet in the same building, but to see the kids work together, and again, these are kids from across our community working together to come up with the pieces that's necessary to make the retreat a success.
So after the 2 days are almost complete, and they practice. Mm-hmm. Then they're gonna have a concert.
There's a concert, and the program is driven by the students, and so they do everything, starting with the praise and worship. These kids are phenomenal. They come up. I let them come up with their own praise and worship songs. They have to give me a list so I can give it to our music staff. Lee Blue leads that area, but they come up with the music. They do the welcome, they do the opening prayer, they do the praise and worship, there's a presidential address that goes on. We give out scholarships to seniors who are gone off to college. We announce the new officers, and then there's the praise dance, there's the mime, and then, you know, we have 2 choirs. We have the 8 to 12 group. And last year, the 8 to 12 group was off the chain. I mean, those little kids. There's a generation of kids that's coming up that are so spiritual. I went to their rehearsal one day, and they were just having real church in there, and they weren't playing. I was like, this is the 8 to 12 group, boy. And, you know, they are just so on fire for the Lord. And so I was at an association on Monday, and I saw one of the boys. He told me, he said, Dr. Titus, I'm signing up. I'll be there. Wow. Yeah, and just a really, really excited young man for God.
Wow. Now, listen, let me encourage those of you who are watching today. Hey, listen, we need some corporate sponsors.
Yes, we need sponsors. The retreat here, when we started the retreat many years ago, it was $4 a night to stay in the dorms, and, you know, everybody said, oh, $4, yes, I can do that. But now it's 10 times that amount. And so for families with multiple kids, it's kind of a struggle to send a kid to the camp. And so this year we are trying, and we're seeking out sponsors for the retreat. And you can sponsor a kid at any level. There are 2 ways you can do it. One, you can go to our website, and in the spot of the kid's name, you put sponsor, and then you fill out the rest of the information as you see fit. So if you just want to pay registration, you can do that for a kid. I think you have to do that for that's the bottom, the registration. Or you could pay part of the housing, part of the meal plan, or a T-shirt for a kid. So any level that you choose, you can do that. If you're uncomfortable with doing it online, there's a form online that you can download, and you can send your sponsorship in.
Wow.
And we asked that if you would do that by June 30th so that we could assign the monies appropriately to the kids who have expressed the interest of coming to the retreat but don't have the finances to make it. Let me share this with you. We've been sponsoring kids from within Songs on 50 for a good little while, And there's been a couple of kids that came to the retreat on a sponsorship. And I tell you, when I see the work that they're doing at their churches, and when I see the work that they're doing, and a couple of them are in college now, on their college campuses, it's amazing. And it's all because of this training. Not part of it is part of the training. Of course, they come from great churches. Right. I don't want to demise that. But just to see those kids, you know, operate in the gifts that God has given them is just phenomenal.
Wow. Again, so look, I took care of my sponsorship.
Yeah.
I say, look, let me pull out my wallet right now and take care of this. Listen, don't delay. There it is right there on the screen. So go ahead and contact them and become a sponsor. I mean, help this next generation become all they can be. And,
yes.
And this is a great program for them to be involved in.
Yes. It's still strong. So last year, I got to talk about this. Yeah. So the kids last year, so we let them decide what they're going to do. And so last year we had a concert on Thursday night. It's an in-house concert, and we invited a few people in. I can't think of the name of the group. I should have wrote it down. But they invited a group in last year, and it was a rap, new wave gospel group.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, y'all, there's no problem. We can do this. And so, I was a little nervous at the beginning. But when those young people who came, and I'm sorry I didn't bring the name of the group, but when they finished, the kids were up worshiping God. It was just an atmosphere. And I said, golly, yes. Because our music doesn't fit them. Right. And then the Bible also says that you need to write a new song. Right. You need to write a new song. And the reason I think you need to write a new song is because what we went through and what they're going through is different. And so, they need God to speak to their specific needs, And so, but I tell you, so I'm looking forward this year to, they want to bring that group back in, and they want to do this Thursday night concert again. Now, watch this. With this Thursday night concert, what happens is they decide you have to apply. Kids within the retreat would come together as a group or maybe a solo singer, and they would perform on the same program. Wow. And so to perform on the same program with semi-professional artists, that's huge. That's huge. And I tell you, last year the concert was so good, some of the older people were trying to get in the group. I said, y'all gonna break something, y'all. The young people, I mean, they had their phones. It was like the concerts that I go to with Songs on 50, sometimes where, you got an artist in the house and everybody got their phones up, videotaping, and they got the lights dim. Our concerts, it'd be just full lights. Everybody can see everybody. Their concert, they turn the lights off, and, I was like, okay, all right. But I understood. Spoken word is something else that this young generation is into. And man, I'm telling you, I heard some powerful words, Wow, and I guess that's why they still allow me to be the youth retreat director, because I am in tune with the young people. I do listen to them.
You listen to the voice of that generation to see how to minister to them.
Yes.
And that's important.
Yes. The thing with me, I'm just making sure that it's solid. Right. Because in a world where we have so many people that's pushing things that's not solid, as long as it's solid with me, because again, let's think about it. The way that the word has been delivered over time has always changed, but the word has stayed the same. The message is the same.
Yeah. The method may be a little bit different.
Right.
But the message is the same.
It's the same.
So Freddie, let's wrap up. Tell us again, when is this retreat going to be?
So the retreat is July 26th through 28th here in Beaumont, Texas, on Lamar University campus. 2.5 days of exciting fun. We have some dynamic workshop leaders coming to work with our kids. We're working on the music for this year's retreat. And then there would be a finale program at the Mount Gilead Baptist Church on July 28th at 6 p.m.
And what are the age ranges for the?
So we have two groups. So we have the 8 through 12 year olds, and then we have 13 through 18 year olds.
Okay. Now I just added all the costs up for the registration, housing, meal plan, and T-shirts. and it's only $168.
Yes, that's what it is.
Wow.
168. And we have the late night activities that we have for our kids. Like I just told you about the concert on Thursday night, and then on Friday night we have game night. And with the game night on Friday night, we have activities in the gym, but we also bring a electronic game truck to campus as well for kids to play games. So, and we have late night eating, and so I tell you, the kids really, really enjoy the retreat because of all the other stuff. And then we do have a picnic on Saturday during the day for the kids, and their parents can come by there and pick up their kids from the dorms and so forth for the program. Yeah.
So listen, again, the dates are July the 26th through the 28th at Lamar University. The concert will be July the 28th at 6 p.m. at the Mount Gilead Baptist Church, 710 I-810 East in Beaumont, Texas. The age group is from 8 to 18, 8 years old to 18.
Yes.
There is a cost. Hey, listen, we want you to register early. Register by July the 9th. And so that we can secure all of the dorm rooms. So early registration deadline is July the 9th, 2018. So let's make sure that we get that. Corporate sponsors, we need your help. Individual sponsors, we need your help. It's only $168 total. So listen, let's impact this generation. And listen, you don't have to donate all of the $168.
Right.
Take a part. For the registration, it's $22. For the housing, it's $80. For the meal plan, it's $53. And for the T-shirt, it's $13. So listen, if you want to donate any one of those amounts, hey, listen, we'll receive it for this camp.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. We're going to receive it, right?
Absolutely.
So listen, let's get our kids involved. Listen, kids from all races, all denominations can be a part of this.
Yes.
This is a great experience. I believe that will change their lives forever. July the 26th. Through the 28th. Early registration is July the 9th. Let's make sure that we get them registered. And they're going to have a dynamic time. Musicians, singers, praise dancers, mime groups, everybody who wants to participate can be a part of it. So listen, I want to thank Dr. Freddie Titus for being a part of this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us right here on What's Happening in Our Neighborhood. And we will see you next time here on our broadcast.